In this video, you will learn how to use one of the most popular testing frameworks in the past 2 years called Playwright. I will show you how to use Playwright with another very popular Python framework called PyTest, so you can become a software testing expert. So in this course, I will show you how you can install, set up and use Playwright. I will show you the most popular Microsoft Playwright tools. We will compare it against other frameworks, and you'll also be able to do end-to-end projects. So let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video, you will learn how to install Python and PyCharm in your device. PyCharm is the most widely used IDE for Python, and it supports Windows, macOS, and Linux. Since I have a Mac device, I will show you how you can install it in Mac, but the installation for any other operating system is pretty much the same. So let's get started. Firstly, you would need to go to python.org, downloads, and if you hit on the downloads button here, you can immediately select Python 3.10.5, which is the current Python version. However, with time this version might change as there are new Python releases, so please feel free to install the most recent Python version. So you can either install it from here, from the Downloads tab, or you can simply select Downloads and then you will see it right here. So once you select it from here, this will automatically detect your operating system and will download the right Python version for you. If, however, the detection is unsuccessful, you can definitely select Python for Windows, Linux, or macOS. So I'm going to select Download Python 3.10.5, and you can see that Python immediately gets downloaded into my device. Once you have that, you can select Python or the downloaded file, select Continue, Continue, then Continue again, agree with the software agreement, and then install it in the disk of your desire. So I'll select Continue here, and then here you will see the installation type, and you have the option to again change the installation location. I'm fine with mine, so I'll select Install, and then you will be asked to write your password. So I selected my username and password, and now the installation begins. So once the installation is complete, you will see this window here with Python installed in your applications if you use Mac, or the corresponding window if you use Windows or Linux. Then you will get a summary that Python has been installed in your device, and you can click Close here. And then let's move to Trash the installer. So once this is done, in order to verify that Python has been installed in your device, you can pull up the terminal, and then here you can simply write Python --version, and once this is done, you can see that you have installed Python 3.10.5, which is the last Python version, and this means that you have successfully installed Python. Now let's install PyCharm. It's important to make sure that you install PyCharm Community Edition, because the Community Edition is free to use and it has all the functionalities that you would need for this course and actually most of the Python related work. So here, for example, I will select Apple Silicon chip since this is the one on my device, and then the PyCharm community starts installing in my computer. To find the downloads, you can simply write in Google PyCharm community like this, and basically the first web page that appears on your screen will be the one with the community and professional versions. And you can again choose to download it for Windows, macOS, or Linux. So once PyCharm community is installed, actually downloaded in your device, then you can select it and then drag and drop it to your application folder, and then that should be all. So if I go to my applications, I would see PyCharm Community Edition installed, and so if I write here PyCharm, then PyCharm will launch into your device. Select Open here since these are security warnings, and then PyCharm, as you can see, is going to start. I will not open my current project, but here you can see all the projects that I actually already have in PyCharm. And once this window appears in front of you, which is going to be the first thing that you would see when you open PyCharm, is you can select a new project and basically start a new project in PyCharm. I will create one just to show you how it works. So let's select Create, and then here you can see your virtual environment and your project where you can create different Python files, right? Let's do file 1, and here is how you can create your own Python projects using PyCharm. So this was the end of this video. This is how you can install Python and PyCharm in your device. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Hi guys! Since in the last video we already did the hard work to install Python and PyCharm, today we have the easy task to install Playwright and PyTest. So here the first thing we will do is to basically install those two packages, because these are Python packages, inside your device, and then when we start working on our PyCharm projects, I will also teach you how to create a virtual environment such as this one and install those packages there so you can have them locally as well, which will make your project way more reliable. So let's open a terminal, and this was the same terminal in which we already checked the Python version. So the first thing I will need to do is to install PyTest. So I just clear the window, and now let's write type3 install PyTest. Okay, and as you can see, the requirement is already satisfied since I already have installed PyTest. So you might see slightly different outputs from me since for you the installation will start. Actually, let me uninstall it and install it again so you can see the exact output. You can do that by typing type3 uninstall PyTest, then confirm, and PyTest now has been uninstalled. So if I write now type3 install PyTest, now PyTest, you can see that it's successfully installed in my device. I even got a newer version. So once you have that, then you can begin installing Playwright, which is our main test tool for this course. So the first thing I will do is to do type3 install PyTest Playwright, and this should install the plugin, the PyTest plugin for Playwright. So let's do that, and you can see that we just installed the PyTest plugin for Playwright. Let's do clear. Okay, and now the next step is to install Playwright. So let's do Playwright install. So once this is done, let's actually try if Playwright works properly. So once this is done, let's actually test if we installed Playwright successfully. What you need to do is simply write Playwright in your terminal, and then you will see the different options that you can use with Playwright. The same you can do with PyTest. So let's first write Playwright version, and you can see the current version of Playwright that you have installed, and you can do the same with PyTest. So PyTest version, and you can see the version of PyTest that you have installed as well. So if you see those outputs, this means that you successfully installed PyTest and Playwright. Congratulations! Now you're able to continue with the rest of the course. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, and welcome to this section where we're going to talk about why Playwright is the best emerging test framework and how it gained its popularity. So as a software test engineer, I've always been exploring the best cutting-edge test frameworks, and a few years ago I found out about Playwright, and since then it became my favorite test automation framework to use when building new automation projects. And there is a good reason for that. It's very easy to set up, and it's currently one of the fastest and most reliable frameworks I've ever used. So as you know, in this course I'm going to guide you through the Playwright framework, which will enable you to write end-to-end tests for your favorite projects. We'll talk about the extensive features of Playwright, but before that, of course, I want to give you with this section a brief introduction. So Playwright is actually built by a Microsoft team and is used for end-to-end testing and automation. The biggest Playwright competitors such as Selenium and Cypress even did not realize how fast Playwright gained enormous popularity. So what I have in front of you in this figure is a survey among developers shows that the current trend is a rapid growing popularity of the Playwright framework, and you can see it right here in the graph. Since it is an open source project, we can easily track how many people are using it and contributing to this framework. Its GitHub repository actually has about 39k stars and 12.2 active users tracked there. So this framework is not only easy to use, but also it has lightning fast execution speeds and some great features that are unique to Playwright framework. And those are the trace viewer and the test generator, which we'll really explore in detail in this course, but for now I'm just gonna give you a brief introduction. So let's first talk about the trace viewer incorporated in Playwright. So what it is? It is actually a graphical user interface tool that is used if you want to review the Playwright traces after tests have been executed. You can easily enable it by setting the set trace to on, but this feature I will show you in our next sections. This will not only generate reports, but also it will create a zip file in which you will get all of your test results. And you can either get those in the trace.playwright.dev or from the command line with a command that you can see right here. This one you can simply write in your command prompt. So after following either of those processes, you will be able to see the Playwright trace viewer. And so here you can really dig deeper into how long your tests took to execute, the parameters that have been passed, the network calls that have been made, and any other logs related to your test execution. You can also hover over the trace film strip at the top of the page to see the stage, actually each stage during your execution, and they are covered differently, as you can see, which is quite useful and can really give you a very graphical and easy to grasp understanding of your test cases. The other really nice feature of Playwright is the test generator, and this is actually one of my favorite tools. This is a browser tool that Playwright provides. It is used to record all the actions performed in the browser and generate equivalent code to those actions, right? So you don't even need to know how to code. You can simply perform the necessary actions and the code will be generated for you. So definitely stay tuned because I will show you exactly how this works. This is quite useful tool if you want to quickly draft some tests for your team that is not familiar with the code yet. You can again choose to run the test generator using a command line command where you simply need to pass the code gen abbreviation and also the website for which you would like to record. So as you can see, this is a pretty basic view of how Playwright looks like and its key features, which give you way more flexibility compared to some of the other software test tools. So thanks for watching, and in the next video we will talk about some of the key reasons for you to use Playwright, and we'll talk for things such as competition, integration with other frameworks, and the current releases. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video, I want to motivate you and to tell you why should you actually use Playwright and how important is to learn this amazing tool right now, because trust me, in the near future there will be way more people and companies that will adopt it, as it is currently the fastest, and I mean it, the fastest software test framework out there. So as I said, Playwright is open source framework that is relatively new to the market, but as I said, it is building popularity very fast. It is created by Microsoft and Microsoft currently maintains it. And as a result, this framework receives regular updates and improvements. So if you look at the numbers in front of you, here you can see the number of downloads of Playwright compared to similar frameworks which have been on the market for a while. You can really see that the Playwright has way more downloads comparing to the competition. It actually peaked to more than 1,200,000 downloads in 2022, which really shows how popular this tool currently becomes in this and the upcoming years. And actually this is really a new generation framework. This is because the whole way that it's built and maintained is quite innovative. In every new release, the Playwright team uploads the new changes in the open source repository in GitHub with quick updates, sometimes even in a form of video. This is something that we haven't seen from any other major framework, and it's really helpful for us to get insight into the team building this framework and into the new features. So on the figure right here, you can see a snapshot from one of the recent releases. I actually think that now we have one release after this one, or even more than one, but this is a really simple way for the users to understand what's been added and removed from the framework architecture. But of course, as a software test tool, Playwright has enormous competition. So as you know, there are other famous test frameworks that are well established, such as Selenium and Cypress, but the main reason for picking up Playwright over the others is simply because this framework is really intuitive and flexible in the way that it interacts with the browsers and multiple pages and domains. So I would say it is like the Python of the software test frameworks. It is very easy to use, it is very intuitive, easy for everyone to understand in a quite simple way, and you really see that throughout the course. But this is just one of the advantages. I would say for me, the most significant advantage of Playwright comparing to the rest of the software test tools is the speed. So in testing, speed is everything. If you can't run your tests quickly and speed up your test cycle, you cannot deliver your product quickly. If you cannot deliver your product quickly, you would of course have a lot of unhappy stakeholders. So let's talk about speed and see how Playwright compares to the rest of the frameworks. So here I prepared a simple graph, actually a table, comparing Playwright with other frameworks. You can see that in most of the categories, Playwright actually takes a first place, and actually this is on the most complex and high scale categories. So these are actually real results and are published by CLI HQ. So what they did, they performed the same test with the most famous test frameworks that involved in-depth execution speed monitoring of all of those frameworks. Playwright is actually the fastest framework on two of the three categories and had Puppeteer behind it in most cases. But of course, if you use this framework, of course you care about speed, but also you care if it is well integrated with the rest of the tools that you're using. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the integrations for Playwright. So this is probably one of the most important factors when selecting a new tool or framework, because if it doesn't integrate with your current architecture, it is pretty much useless. The worst feeling is implementing something only to realize that it doesn't have an actual integration and we have to start building a custom plugins for our tools. Well, the good news here is that the Playwright team have covered that. So Playwright has support for Docker, so you can execute tests in isolated and controlled environment. There is a command line integration tools, and you can also integrate Playwright with CI/CD tools such as Jenkins, CycleCI, Azure, GitLab, and so on. For a new software test tool, this is actually quite a big coverage when we're talking about integration. You also get support for JavaScript test runners such as Ava, Mocha, and on the Python side, you have a complete integration with PyTest, which we're going to talk about in detail in this course. You even have integration into the competitors of the Playwright, Selenium Grid. And in addition to that, you can definitely manage parallel execution using Playwright as well. So to conclude this video, let's actually talk about the key features that Playwright has. It supports the most popular browsers. It is actually a cross-platform web browser test tool, and it's adopted in Chromium, WebKit, and Firefox. So this includes Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Opera, and Safari. Actually, specifically the way that Playwright is running into different browsers is quite advanced comparing to the other test frameworks, and I will show you this in detail in this course. You can also use Playwright in any operating system. So you can use it in Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. I'm actually using Mac OS, but no matter which device you're using, you're definitely covered when using Playwright and integrating it with the rest of the tools. Now you also have support for any type of programming languages, so you can run Playwright with JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Java. If you're a C fan, you can use it with .NET. So you have a very big choice and you can reuse the programming language of your desire. I'm even planning to create courses that will also cover Playwright for JavaScript, since JavaScript is the other most popular programming language for testing. So let me know in the comments if you will be happy to see such type of course. But let's talk about the features that Playwright actually has. Of course, those are some very basic features that I provide in this slide. You will actually see in the next lectures how many more features Playwright has, but you definitely have the ability to do smart assertions, retryings until an element is found, test data tracing, keeping logs. You can even keep videos and screenshots easily. You can interact with multi-page, multi-tab websites that involve users, forms, browser events, and so on. And all of those features are working very smooth and lightning fast. So I hope I got you motivated learning Playwright with this video. This is really worth a tool to know. Even now it is used in some of the major companies and it expands massively. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in our next video. We've already covered some of the reasons for which Playwright is a great to work with on feature and implementation level. But how is it working? What goes internally? How the code actually works? This is what we're going to talk about in this video. What is actually the reason for the execution to be more stable in Playwright comparing to the rest of the tools? So a good way to understand this is to compare Playwright with Selenium and see what is the difference. So Selenium sends each command as a separate HTTP request and receives a JSON response. Quite simple, right? We send HTTP request, actually it goes the other way around from Selenium, and we receive the response into a JSON file, which we're using later on to analyze the test and collect logs. So every interaction, such as opening browser, clicking element, or sending keys in Selenium, is sent as a separate HTTP request. As you can imagine, this definitely results a slower execution because we are waiting for responses, which introduces another layer of operation. So let's take a close look on what Playwright is doing instead. So here Playwright actually uses a single WebSocket, right? We don't need to send different requests, but we use a socket to connect the tests with Playwright, and once the socket is connected, then we can exchange information. This socket stays open until the execution is completed. So this reduces the points of failure and allows commands to be sent quickly with a single connection. So thank you for watching this quick video, guys. I hope that now you clearly understand the key advantage of Playwright compared to the rest of the famous test tools out there. Thanks for watching, and in the next few videos we'll compare Playwright versus its major competitors out there. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, as we mentioned earlier, Playwright is one of the best tools out there and its main competitors are Selenium and Cypress. So in this video I decided to compare straight Playwright with Selenium so we can see what are the advantages and the disadvantages of both tools and why should we choose Playwright here. On one side, Playwright from Microsoft is one of the newest additions to the automation framework, and on the other side is probably the most preferred and used test automation framework, Selenium. Selenium has been there for over a decade. First, let's talk about browser support. So both tools pretty much cover all the browsers, and you can see that Playwright supports Chromium, Firefox and WebKit, which involves Edge and Safari. On the other side, Selenium has support for Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Edge and IE. So the coverage here is pretty similar and both tools cover a lot of browsers. So there is not much of a difference when we talk about this factor. But let's talk now about language support. So when talking about language support, Selenium actually supports more languages. You can see that on one side Playwright supports Java, Python, .NET, C# and JavaScript, while on the other side Selenium supports all those, but it also have support for Ruby, PHP and Perl. So if you're a fan of the last three, you pretty much don't have any other choice but choosing Selenium. The next thing is comparison depending on what web elements can be handled. So regarding this, both tools are completely different in their own way and we cannot decide if different is better or worse. So on one side, Playwright handles alerts, iframe, and elements that are different comparing to Selenium. On the other side, Selenium has different WebDriver protocols and architecture to handle DOM elements. What we know for sure is that the way Playwright is handling web elements is way quicker comparing to Selenium because Playwright uses just a single socket instead of sending HTTP requests over and over again. So talking about architecture, Playwright has a headless browser with event-driven architecture, while on the other side, Selenium is pretty much based on JSON wire protocol. This means that while working, Playwright uses events to handle data, while Selenium is using a JSON protocol in order to collect the test data. So let's talk about waits. Wait is usually an event which implies waiting for some action to happen on the browser. Playwright does many different actionability checks on different elements before performing specific actions, and this makes it actually way more stable comparing to Selenium. On the other side, Selenium uses different types of waits like explicit and implicit waits. And finally, let's talk about the speed of execution for each of those tools. Now, as we already mentioned, Selenium is way slower comparing to Playwright. This is because Selenium has a driver that serves as a middleman and translates the test script commands and sends them to the browser for execution. This is done with HTTP requests, making the process way slower. On the other hand, Playwright is using just a simple single socket to connect to the browser, and from there the testing becomes way more stable. So this was the comparison between Playwright and Selenium. Selenium, of course, is a well-established tool with great community and language support, while on the other hand, Playwright is a new tool with, of course, less documentation, which is considerably faster and suitable for complex Python and JavaScript applications. Playwright is coming up with many features, and it is definitely a good alternative of Selenium, having some components which are better comparing to Selenium. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching that video, and I will see you in the next one. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video, we'll compare Playwright with one of the most popular web automation test tools called Cypress. Now, we already talked about the key capabilities of Playwright, such as supporting multiple pages and domains, cross-browser web automation, lightning speed, and so on. So let's see what is actually Cypress and how it compares to Playwright. So Cypress is open source automation tool for web app testing. It is used for end-to-end testing, but supports only JavaScript and the Mocha test framework. So if you are, for example, a Python developer or actually developer into any other programming language, then Cypress is definitely not suitable for you. But if we talk about JavaScript, then you can definitely compare Playwright and Cypress. One of the key features of Cypress is that it provides you with very consistent and detailed results, so you can understand everything that happens both inside and outside the browser. So one of the features that I like the most in Cypress are the real-time debugging, its API testing capabilities, and automating querying. Now let's talk how this compares with the Playwright. So firstly, comparing the languages that you can use to work with both frameworks, actually Playwright here is the clear winner because it supports way more programming languages. Even though Playwright is relatively new framework, it already supports more than 5 of the most popular programming languages, such as JavaScript, Java, Python, .NET, and C#. Those are pretty much the top 3 programming languages that are used worldwide. On the other hand, Cypress is using only JavaScript, which is not very convenient for some developers. Now, talking about real device support, even though Playwright supports emulators, it actually doesn't support yet mobile browser tests. On the other hand, Cypress supports real device clouds and remote services at the same time, which makes sense because Cypress is on the market for way longer time, so it adopted these capabilities. So when it comes to choosing the right framework, I would say that the Cypress actually offers way more documentation and proactive community. This really helps to overcome some bottlenecks just by simply reading the documentation. However, if you want to create a very detailed tests with more coverage on multiple domains, which is of a key importance for most of the projects, then Playwright is going to be the right choice. It's important to note that choosing a test tool for your web app is ultimately a choice based on usage and functionality. So if you choose the right test tool, then the entire test process is streamlined. And for that reason, Playwright really have advantage here because of its simplicity and speed. That's it. Thank you very much for watching this section, guys, and I will see you in our next section. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video, I will show you how to develop very quickly your first Playwright script. So let's open the IDE that we use for this course, PyCharm. So just write PyCharm and let's create a new project where we're going to place all of our scripts for this section. So I'll select a new project and I will use Python 3.10 as a virtual environment. And for simplicity, I'm going to place this new folder on the desktop. So let's do desktop and then let's write Playwright Tools, which is the name of this section. So when you hit enter, you'll be able to see your project, and I hope that you're already familiar with this. And let's create a new file. I will actually call it test1, and here we're going to write a simple script that you can run with Playwright. So before continuing, let's actually first make sure that Playwright is in our virtual environment. So I open here the terminal. So let's first update our pipe environment. So simply write pipe install -- upgrade pipe, just to make sure that you have the last version of pipe. Now the next thing is to install Playwright. So let's do pipe install Playwright. Okay, and now you can see Playwright is actually getting installed in your virtual environment. Then do Playwright install, and now we're able to use Playwright scripts within our virtual environment. So the first thing I will do is I'll write from playwright.sync API, and I just want to mention that since APIs can be synchronous or asynchronous, for that reason Playwright have two versions to cover both of those. So if you don't know what's the difference between synchronous and asynchronous APIs, it is that with synchronous APIs, we are blocking all calls until there is a change. So when either a call has been completed or there has been an error, then we move to the next one. While with the asynchronous, the response from the API is returned immediately while the request continues to be processed. So there is a slight difference. You don't need to know in detail what this means, but for that reason I will show you actually two ways for how to work with Playwright for both synchronous and asynchronous API calls. So here I will show you a case where we're using synchronous API. So from playwright.synchronous API, we will import sync playwright, okay, and then let's write with sync playwright as p, okay. So here we would represent the sync playwright with p. So everywhere where you see p, this means that we're using the synchronous playwright. So first let's define our browser. So you know that Playwright has support for different types of browsers. Let's in that case choose Firefox. So let's do browser equals to p.firefox.launch. You can see that all the options are proposed here. So let's do launch. And in order for you to actually see the browser, because Playwright is so fast that you will not be able to see the browser within the automation, let's add some slow motion. So first I will do headless equals to false, and later on we're going to talk specifically about this option. And also let's do slow-mo equals, let's say 500 milliseconds. Okay, so then let's do page. So page will be equal to browser dot new page. So this is how we open a new page in our browser, and then let's specify which page we want to go to. So far we defined our browser, we opened a new page, and now let's do page dot go to, and let's actually go to the official site of Playwright. So let's do http playwright.dev, okay, and then let's print page.title. So we will see something in our command prompt once we run that, and after that let's do browser.close, so we can close the browser. Okay, so let's save that, and as you can see, we haven't yet imported PyTest. So in the next videos I will show you how to integrate PyTest and Playwright, but for now let's simply run this Python call. So you can simply write Python, okay, and then run the test1.py file. So let's see what's going to happen. So as you can see, we got the browser for half a second and then it disappeared. So what it basically happened, we opened the page within the browser, we went to the website, we printed the title of the website right here, and then we closed it, right? So this is how it works. I will just give you an example with the asynchronous API. There will not be difference in the outcome, but just so you can see that both cases are possible if you face asynchronous APIs. So let's write below async def main, Okay, and so basically here we're creating an asynchronous function, and I'll write here async, and the rest is pretty much the same with async underscore playwright. And actually here you're getting an error because I forgot to import it. So what you need to do is first import async IO, and then also we're going to import playwright dot async API. So from there, we're going to import async playwright. Okay, so this error here is now removed, and we're gonna represent this as P. So everywhere where you see P from now on is going to be asynchronous playwright. Okay, so let's do now browser equals to await, and here we use the keyword await when we're working with the asynchronous API. And await keyword is a keyword used only for asynchronous APIs, and it's usually used to pass the function control back to the event loop. So await basically suspends the execution of the scope until we get a result from that await. So let's do await p dot, and let's this time run chromium dot launch, and then I will place the same options so you can see what's going on. So let's do headless equals to pause, and then let's do slow mo. This time I'm gonna make it equal to 2000 milliseconds or 2 seconds. Okay, now let's do page equals await, and then let's do browser and open a new page. So let's do new page, right? After that, let's do await and then page dot go to, and I will just copy and paste the same website, right? So you can see that what we will get as an output is exactly the same. Then let's print the name. So let's print await page dot title, and finally let's do await browser dot close. Okay, so the final thing we need to do is to simply run the main function. So let's do async IO dot run, and let's run our main method right here. Okay, so I will comment out for now this function, and I will save the file. So let's do Python test underscore 1.py, and let's see what's happening. So you can see that we go the page, it stays for 2 seconds, and then it disappears. Exactly what we assigned here. So you can see how we can actually open a page with Playwright in both synchronous and asynchronous way. So you can really see how easy it is to use Playwright to open and close pages. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and in the next videos we'll continue exploring the amazing tools that Playwright provides. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
So if you want to learn more about Microsoft Playwright, then definitely check out our complete Microsoft Playwright course with Python, where you will get more than 7 hours of HD video content, which will make you an expert in using Playwright. You will learn things like Playwright API testing, handlers. I will show you how to use Playwright on a website called UI Automated Playground, and you will even build a project testing GitHub API using Playwright. So if you check out the code in the description, you can get 50% discount for this course. So let's get back to the video.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video, I will show you a very easy yet powerful way to generate code in Playwright without actually writing any code. You didn't know that this is possible? Well, stay tuned and I will show you how this is exactly done. So Playwright has one tool that is called Code Generator. It basically allows you to activate it, go to a web page, perform some actions on this web page, and those actions automatically generate code for you. So let's see how this is done. We're here in our Python project, and here in the terminal, let's simply write playwright code gen, and then let's go to a website. For example, let's go to wikipedia.org. Okay, so let's hit enter here and let's see what's gonna happen. So you probably have in front of you the wikipedia.org website plus another window, and this other window is generated from Playwright. As you can see here in the tabs, you can see that we have Chromium open, and at the same time we have the Playwright icon. So what we can see here now, what we wrote automatically generated this run function here, with which we assess the browser in Chromium. We create a new context with which we're recording our actions, and about context we will talk in detail later on as well. Also, we open a new page, right? And we went to it. Basically, everything that we did in the last video is now automatically generated for you. And this is done in synchronous manner as you can see here, we're importing the Playwright synchronous. Okay, so what's happening here? Let me actually first reduce the size of this page so you can see both icons at the same time. Okay, and let's start clicking on the different tabs. So for example, if I click here, you can see that a new code has been generated that says page.locator, and it basically says where we click. Let's now go to the search, and you can see that here we went to the search and we clicked, and let's write something. Let's write docs. Okay, so then you get locator, and that we click docs. Let's select docs in warfare. Let's select that. Okay, and you can see that our click was recorded, and also we waited until we go to the next page. Okay, and you can really do a lot right here. So you can click on the different elements and automatic code will be generated, right? So let's take a look at our window. Now we have our code generated here. You can copy it from this tab here. You can stop the recording from right here, and also you can change your language of interest, right? So you can do asynchronous Python, you can do Java, JavaScript, and so on. So if I hit asynchronous Python, you get basically the same actions but using asynchronous API. You can also do the same with JavaScript, Java, C#, all the languages that basically are allowed in Playwright. You can also use that in PyTest as well, which is quite simple. So let's close our recording. So now as you can see, even if I click here, nothing is recorded. So I already copied the code from the asynchronous pause. So let's go back to PyCharm and try to run the code and see what happens. So firstly, I will go to the terminal and press Ctrl Z, and you can also stop all the processes by doing PS, actually kill, -9, and select the processes that you want to kill if they are running into the background. And so once you closed everything, now let's create a new file. So let's do new Python file. Let's do here test2, and let's paste what we actually recorded from our recording tool. So now if I run that, for example, actually let's just place right here page.pause so you can see where we actually go. So the idea is that we enter to wikipedia.org and we actually finish into here logistics and communication. So let's see how this works. Let's go in the terminal and write Python and then test2.py. Let's run that, and you can see that Chromium opens and we go exactly to the page that we ended last time. And also if I open the page that just appeared, the Playwright page, you can see that here we're on our pause statement, and if you're okay with what you see and everything is checked, you can simply select the display button and then your test is going to end. So this is, guys, a very easy and useful way for you to generate test scripts of a web page without any effort. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in our next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. I'm sure that with every next lesson you're gaining more and more confidence with Playwright. So as you know, this section aims to introduce you to the main tools incorporated in that framework. And for that reason today we'll talk about the Playwright interactive mode. So how this works. If you go to the terminal, and actually let me increase the terminal tab here because we use the terminal quite a lot today. And if you write Python, then you're entering the terminal interactive mode. And luckily Playwright actually can be used using that mode as well. And this is done by step-by-step approach. So this interactive mode takes the same functionality as writing the script in a separate file. The only difference here is that after every command you will get the action from that command immediately. So for example, if I do from playwright.sync API import sync_playwright, okay, this is the import statement. Then you can, for example, define a variable called playwright. So playwright equals to sync_playwright dot start. Okay, and this is how you start Playwright. Then you can also manually create your browser. So if you do browser equals to playwright dot, and let's use Chromium in that case, Chromium dot launch. Okay, so actually here I did a typo and that's why it doesn't recognize it, but let's actually use this word even though it is not exactly correct. So let's do here py write dot chromium chromium.launch. Okay, and at least here you can see that this variable here has nothing to do with the predefined Playwright function. This is just a random variable that can have any name. So now we launched our browser. Then let's do page equals browser.new page. Okay, so we defined what page is, and now we can go to the browser. So let's do page.goto, and let's go to https, and let's go to youtube.com. Okay, so this will be our page. Okay, let's close it and let's go there. And as you can see right now, we got a response and we use the get method, which confirms that we did our request successfully. So now, how do we know that we actually went to this page? Well, let's create a screenshot. Yes, with Playwright, you can do screenshot of a page, and you only need to do page.screenshot, and then let's say what the name of the screenshot is going to be and where it's going to be located. So let's do path equals, and if I don't place any path, it will be in our current directory, which is this one, the Playwright tools. So let's do example.png. Okay, let's hit OK. And you can see that something is happening here. And if I select anything on the folder, it will update, and you can see that here we have the example PNG. So let's see what is there. Well, you can see here that we have the YouTube page, the YouTube entry page, right? With the logo, with the different videos, with some ads as well, right? So this definitely confirms that we successfully entered the YouTube page and we made a screenshot there from the command line. It's quite cool that you can make screenshots, and later on in the next videos I will also show you how you can actually record the whole process and create a video, in fact. Okay, so we're there, but now let's close our browser. So let's do browser.close. Okay, and then let's do playwright.stop. Actually it's pywright.stop. Okay, and here is how, guys, you can use the Playwright from the command prompt and at the same time make a screenshot to confirm that. You can definitely do this not only from here but also from your Python files. You can do a screenshot, and this is how it works. Thanks for watching, and I really hope that this video was useful. We will continue studying the rest of the Playwright tools, but that was everything for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi guys, and welcome back to the course. In this video, I will show you how you can integrate Pyinstaller with Playwright. So let me first explain you what Pyinstaller actually is. So this is simply a packaging tool. It is used in Python in order to package all the dependencies in a single package. So this means that you can package your app without installing Python and reuse it later on. This is quite famous when companies want to write test cases or other type of code and have working everywhere package with all the depending variables installed inside. So let's see how we can actually make this work using Playwright. Now let's go to Playwright tools project and let's create a new file, and let's call it test_3. And here I will just copy and paste some code that we already wrote. I will only change the website to youtube.com since this is more famous website, and I will still use the screenshot. So when you're working, for example, from your terminal, the first thing you need to do is to create a variable that is defining your Playwright browser's path. So if I do playwright underscore browser's path equals to 0, let's do playwright install Chromium. Okay, so let's hit enter here, and you can see that now we're installing Chromium dependencies. So let's wait until the installation completes. And so once this is done, let's actually use the Pyinstaller. So let's do Pyinstaller -f and then write the name of the file, which is test3.py. So if I hit enter here, you can see that we're generating a zip file and we're uploading some stuff there. Okay, so as you can see, everything has compiled successfully, and if you hit on the folder, you will see that 2 other files are generated. So first of all, into the this directory, you have the dist3 file where you can get the run file of the test3, and then into the build directory are the rest of the dependencies, and here you get a zip file with all the dependencies and also a package. So this is how you can completely convert your Playwright tests into a separate package which you can always build with the test3 file. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope this video was useful, and I will see you in the next one. Hi everyone and welcome back to the course. In this video we will talk about one of my most favorite tools used in Playwright by far, and this is the trace viewer. So in order to show you the tracer, I will actually use our code from test 2 where we actually enter the page, we filled the work docs in wikipedia.com, and then we perform some additional actions before closing the page. So I will just copy that, I will create a new file, new Python file, I will name it test4 and I will paste it there. So in order to enable the trace viewer, you just need to add some additional values here. So under the page go to, where we actually go to the page, we need to do context.tracing, and this is where we enable the tracing, then start, and we're going to enable screenshots true, so we can make screenshots. Then let's enable snapshots, also true. Actually here is screenshots, snapshots, and finally let's enable sources. Okay, this will be true as well. Okay, so now the tracing has started, and from here on everything that we're doing is going to be built into a report. But it's not everything, so let's remove this post statement here that we added before, and also we want to close the tracing. So let's do context.tracing.stop, and then let's do path, and if we don't provide path, we can just write the name of the file in which we want our tracing to be saved. So let's do trace.zip. Okay, so we'll generate a zip file which will have all of our results, and then we'll close the browser and we'll close the context. Okay, and so once we have all this created, simply write Playwright, actually Python, and then the name of the file, so test4.py. So let's run it, and as you can see, the page comes, some actions are performed, and this is done very quickly. So let's see now our report, and you will be amazed how good those reports look like. So let's do playwright show trace, and then let's provide the name of the zip file, which is the trace.zip. So let's hit enter here, and you'll see that a new window will pop up. So what you can see here is, first on the left hand side you can see all the actions that Playwright has performed and the approximate time that it took. So we first had a page locator, and this is where we clicked with the mouse in the middle of the page. Then we have the second touch where it was on the search. Then we attempted to fill this field. Then we selected the doc wildfire, as you can see here. Then we entered that page, and then we selected a particular topic. Pretty simple. So you can definitely try this on other pages as well, and on other inputs, trace them and see how this report will look like. Now, right here on the top, you can see all the screenshots that were performed. So first of all, you see the time for each action to be taken, how much it took, which is quite important when testing, and also the different screenshots, as you can see, from each of those actions, right? So Playwright is making for you different screenshots which you can use to see how the web page was performing, and you can see absolutely everything that was opened, which is, in my opinion, really useful and a very nice graphical representation of what the script is doing. You can also see here on the right hand side the time that it took, which was 70 milliseconds, the parameters used, and also a complete log of what has happened. Even if you want to play with the different pages, you can definitely select different links, and this works pretty much just in the same way as a browser. So this is interactive, which is quite amazing. Even though you have screenshots, you can actually interact with them and see if there are any different options that you want to choose from. So let's close that tab. This was everything I wanted to share with you for this video, guys. I hope you like the trace viewer just as much as I do. It is really useful into the day-to-day work. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome to this section. Here I'm gonna show you, and you will begin to integrate PyTest with Playwright. As you know, Playwright is using PyTest to create test cases during the automation testing, so the integration of those two tools is crucial for you to understand the next sections in the course, and actually one of the most important things if you want to begin creating and executing a real-world test case. So let's open PyCharm and let's create a new project. So I'll create it on our desktop, and let's name it PyTest_Playwright. Okay, so let's create it and let's open this folder, and here we'll create our new project with virtual environment with Python version 3.10. So let's create it, and since this is a new project, you would need first to install PyTest and Playwright. So let's do firstly pipe install PyTest-Playwright to install the PyTest plugin for Playwright. Then let's do Playwright install, and then let's do pipe install Playwright. Okay, great. So now we have Playwright and the plugin for Playwright installed. And so let's now create one basic test case just so we can test PyTest, and I will show you how you can run your test cases. So I'll create a new file here, so new Python file, and let's name it test_usage. Okay, so with PyTest, all the test cases are actually functions. So you can do def, they usually start with test, visit, YouTube. Okay, so obviously, as you can see, this test function will have the purpose of visiting a test function. So as I already mentioned, Playwright has a support for PyTest, which means that you can pass PyTest fixtures into your test cases, which makes your code way shorter. So for example, a fixture would be page. And you remember before, in order to create a page, as you can see from the files from the previous section, you would need to use this here. So you would need to use sync playwright as p, and then page need to be equal to browser.newPage, right? So instead of using all this, you can simply use a fixture page, which is basically the same thing as the one I showed you. It involves the same lines of code, just represented by a single word called page. So for example, if I select command and I click on page, you would see that here we have a predefined Playwright fixture that is called page. And what it basically does, it creates a new page. So it's the same thing, it's just here is predefined. So we can save a lot of code. And this is honestly one of the main advantages of using Playwright with PyTest, because many of the functions that you would normally write are already done for you. Okay. So we're also going to pass a browser type, and as you can see, if I click on it in the same way, this fixture basically defines what is the type of your browser, okay? And you can either choose to define its name or not. So let's pass that too. And now let's do browser type dot launch, and let's try it again here. Headless would equal to false, and let's do slow-mo so you can see actually the page. Slow-mo equals to 2000 milliseconds, which is basically 2 seconds. And then let's do page dot go to, and we'll go to youtube.com. So let's do https youtube.com. Okay, so you can see just with 2 lines of code we can basically specify how we would like our test to run and go to the page. Even you can pretty much skip this line, because this is just specifying the slow motion mainly, so we can see what's on the page that we want to open. But if you want to automate your test and you don't care actually what appears for you to see visually, pretty much you have just 1 line in order to go to a page. Okay, perfect. So now it's time to run our code. So as you can see here in the command line, we're into our PyTest Playwright folder and we're using our virtual environment, which is great. And what you need to do now is simply write PyTest, okay? And normally this is going to be enough for you to run your test case, but I would like to specify browser. So let's do browser, and let's for example do WebKit. Okay, if you don't specify that, it will run into the default browser, which at the moment I think it's Chrome. So let's run that, and you can see that. So once we run that, you can see that the browser appears, and we actually go to youtube.com. Another way to actually add the parameters that we defined here is if you delete the browser type completely. Okay, so you can just leave it like this, and you can define the slow-mo parameter here. So if I do here slow-mo, for example, 3000 milliseconds, which is 3 seconds. Let's try to run that, and you can see that the page appear, stays for 3 seconds as you can see, and now it disappears. Okay. If you want to run, for example, your code in another browser, you can define here, let's say Firefox. Okay, and you can run that, and you can see that we run the code in Firefox exactly in the same way. So that was everything I wanted to share with you guys. In this video we set up the project and we run an example test case to verify that PyTest is running. Thanks for watching, and in the next videos we're going to go through all the command line interface arguments that we can use, and also I will show you all the different fixtures that Playwright integrates into PyTest. That's it, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video I will show you all available command line interface arguments with Playwright. So as you can see on the slide in front of you, there 9 different arguments that you can specify when you're running your tests with Playwright. So the first argument, which you're probably already familiar with, is the headed argument, and you would usually want to enable this one when you want to do some advanced debugging. Then is the browser argument, which is used to specify the browser with which you would like to run your script. So you would usually have a default browser. For example, for me this one is Chrome. However, you can actually specify the browser or the browsers that you want to run your tests with. You can use multiple times the browser argument and specify the exact browsers to use. Then is the browser channel, and regardless with which browser you run your code, you can specify a browser channel. So for example, if you want to run your code in Firefox, but you want to use Chromium channels, you can do that. Then we have the slow-mo, which, as you probably know, defines how much time we're going to take from command to command, and this really helps for us to visually see what the script is actually doing on the website. You can also emulate device. This means that if you want to use specific resolution of a specific device, you can simply state the name of that device, and if it is supported, you would see your website resized into this particular device that you want to test your script with. This is really helpful if you want to see how your website is going to look at smartphone or tablet, and so on and so on. Then you can specify output, which collects all the artifacts gathered during the test. You can do tracing, which can record trace for each test and generate a report. And then you have one option that we didn't talk about so far, and we'll definitely test at some point in this section, which is the video video, where you can actually export a video from the test run. This is also quite useful because in that way you can present to stakeholders or to your team how exactly the web page is tested and the tests are executed. Pretty straightforward, so everybody can understand what the actual anomaly or defect is. And finally, there is the screenshot keyword, where you can capture screenshots of absolutely every step that is completed while running your tests. So that was everything for this video, guys. I just wanted to state here all the possible command line arguments so you can really think about them and think for their different usage. Of course, we'll cover them in the next videos and I will show you how exactly they work. But before that, in the next video, we'll talk about fixtures, and I will explain you what fixture is and what are the different available fixtures in Playwright. So I know this is only theoretical video and the next one is going to be theoretical as well, but this is quite important for you to understand first. They are really short videos, so it wouldn't take you too much time, but you can get a very good and deep overview of everything available before start using it. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video, we'll go over all the fixtures available and integrated between Playwright and PyTest. So here you can see a typical usage of a fixture in PyTest. I briefly mentioned fixtures, but this is something that we will use actually constantly when we are writing test case in the future. But don't worry, most of the fixtures that I will show you are already written, so you just need to know how to call them. In any case, here is how a fixture works. So a fixture basically defines how a test case would run. For example, if you want to open 2 tabs within your browser every time when you run the test, you definitely don't want to write 1000 tests and define that you want to open 2 tabs every single time, right? For that reason, you can simply write a fixture which defines that and simply pass it to all the test cases, right? So this fixture, you define it somewhere else, and there you define the logic for opening more than 1 tabs or something else, and then you pass it back to the function, right? So no matter what code is being written into this function, it will execute using the fixture that you created. So this is the idea of fixtures. And so for that reason, the developers of Playwright decided that many of the functionality of Playwright can be simply incorporated into fixtures and then pass it to the different test cases for simplicity. Of course, I'll also show you how you can develop your custom fixtures, because in many cases you would actually need that in order to simplify your code and test cases. But before creating custom fixtures, first let's go over the fixtures that already exist into the Playwright world. So here they are. Here are all fixtures that are predefined in Playwright. So let's see what they mean. So you have 2 types of fixtures that you can see. they're in the function scope and they're in the session scope. Okay, so function scope means that every test function, okay, could have different browser context and browser page. However, all the test cases would have the same Playwright instance, browser type, browser name, and so on. So the session scope applies to all tests, while function scope applies only to the specific tests within the test function. So this means that you can have different pages opened for each different test case, right? And this is quite useful. So the first one is something that we already created manually, and this is the browser context. Now you can simply pass it as a fixture into your test. Browser context is an isolated incognito-like session within the browser instance. So every test can run into the browser and have its own browser context, which is isolated from the rest of the tests. So each browser context can have multiple pages. A page normally refers to a single tab within the browser context. So if browser context is instance of the browser, then page is something created within a specific browser context. Then the Playwright instance is the current Playwright module that we launched. The browser type is the instance of the current browser, and it provides methods to launch a specific browser instance or connect to existing one. Then browser is the specific browser instance that has been launched by Playwright, and this is usually created by the browser type .launch. And finally, we have some helper fixtures here, the one that provides the browser name, the one that provides the browser channel, and booleans that are returning whether the browser is Chromium, WebKit, or Firefox. Quite simple, isn't it? So those are all the Playwright fixtures that you can use, guys, within your tests. Thanks for watching, and in the next video we'll start using fixtures and I will show you how you can skip test by browser. Thanks for watching. Hi guys, and welcome back to the course. In this video we'll start our first PyTest Playwright project, and I will show you how you can run specific code and skipping a particular browser. This will be done by using PyTest marker. So let's go to our PyTest project and let's open, or let's actually create a new Python file, and I will call this one test_skip browser. So here for simplicity, let's write again our test case. So let's do def test YouTube, and let's pass page here, and then let's do page.go to https youtube.com. Okay, let's test actually if our script is running properly. So let's do PyTest, and here I will specify the file. So let's do PyTest test_skip browser.py. Then browser will be Chromium, and we'll enable headed. So let's run that. Okay, we'll open the browser, and you can see that our test is passed. Okay, so we can see that this works properly, and now I will show you how you can actually run that into many browsers. So as you can see right here, you have browser Chromium, and if you write another -- browser, let's do Firefox, and let's add another one, browser WebKit. So this means that now you're going to test your code into 3 browsers, and you see if your test is going to pass there. So let's run that, and here we start the first test in Chromium, then the second one in Firefox, and finally the third one, which actually go to another window in the WebKit. But you should see all 3 of those. So as you can see, we had 3 tests at the same time, but let's see how we can actually skip one of those browsers. Now, to do that, you can add a PyTest marker. So let's import PyTest. So let's do import PyTest, and so here I will do add pytest.mark.skip_browser. Okay, and let's write here Chromium. Okay, perfect. So let's run our tests again and see how many pass cases we will have, and if we would have anything skipped. So let's run that. Okay, so now the rest of the tests are executing, and as you can see now we have one skipped test, and if you see here, this is skipped, and as you can see here, Chromium was the first browser we actually used, so it was skipped. And this is how you skip browser, guys. Now, since you can skip browser, it makes sense that at the same time you can also define the only browser that you want your test case to use. So for example, if I go back here to the Mark browser, actually let me create a new file here, so you have this in different files. And let's name it test underscore only browser. Okay, so let's open this file, and I will just copy and paste what we already have in the skip browser. Okay, and what you need to do is simply to change this to only underscore browser, and if you add this marker, then Playwright will recognize that it needs to run your test only with Chromium. So let's run our test case again. The only difference that I will do here in our command line is instead of test skip browser, I will do test only browser.py. Okay, we run this with all of those three browsers, Chromium, Firefox and WebKit, and we will see if our test case will get executed only with Chromium. Okay, so we should see one pass test, which would be the first one, and then two skip tests. Let's run that. And you can see that exactly we're having one test that is passed, and then we have two tests that are skipped. If I run also the verbose method, then you will see a little bit more information. So you can see that the first test was passed, then we have skip for browser Firefox, and then we have skipped for browser WebKit. So if you don't know how I do that, I just wrote -v in the end, so I activate the PyTest verbose method, so I can see a little more information here. So this was everything for today, guys. This is how you can skip and use only particular browser. Thanks for watching, and in the next videos I will show you how you can record your tests and also use predefined and custom fixtures. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this video, I will show you how you can record your script and at the same time ignore HTTP errors if they have been raised. So let's first see how you can actually record the video of your work. Let's take, for example, the test-only browser test that we created right here. And here in the command line, you would need to write PyTest. Then you can specify your browser. So let's say browser, and let's do here Chromium, then do -- edit. And finally, in order to activate the video, you simply do -- video on. So you can either do video on or video off. So let's do that and see what happens. So let's hit enter here, and your test starts, and then it ends. You can see that we actually had 3 tests running because here I didn't specify which file we're using, but that's okay. So now if you go here, you can see that there is a new folder generated called test results. Let's open it, and you can see that we have 2 folders here. The first one is test only browser. Okay, so here we would have a video, and then we have the test usage, which is this one. So you can usually open these video files into your browser. So you can simply go to your folder and you see that all of them are here. And for example, I would open them in Chrome, and let's see what happens. So you can see that when you open them here, they're pretty much 1-second videos because we just opened the page. But even if you do something more complicated with way more actions, you're gonna get longer video and you will be able to see absolutely every action that is happening on your web page. So this is how you record videos. But let's see how you can actually avoid HTTP errors. Well, this is done by using fixtures. So normally, to use fixtures in PyTest and Playwright, you will need to create a new file called conftest.py. So let's do Python file conftest.py. Let's create it. And here you can place all the fixtures that you want to run while you're executing your tests. So first of all, let's import PyTest. And then in order to create a fixture, you need to write pytest.fixture, and then you can define the scope of the fixture. As you remember, there were 2 types of scope, which was the function scope and the session scope. The session scope are the fixtures that are working with all the tests while you're running your test cases. So here you can define the scope by scope equals session. Okay, and let's do def, and I write browser context args, and here you can pass the parameter browser context args and then return from this function. Okay, so let's return browser context args, and also we'll return ignore HTTP errors. Actually, here this has to be in parentheses. So ignore HTTP errors will be true. Okay, so this is how, guys, you're avoiding HTTP errors. And so your test will never fail due to those errors. Actually, there is only one typo that we did here. There should be HTTPS errors instead of HTTP errors. And now, if you run your tests, you actually not see anything visually. But now, if there is any error while you're opening the page, or while you are sending some of the requests, those now will be ignored. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and in the next video we'll continue exploring the different type of fixtures that you can create manually, but there you will see some more visual representation about how those function works. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.